All right. So with me on today's show is Jonathan. Jonathan, is your last name pronounced Passley
Yeah,
or
yeah, Passley. Got it
Passley? I got it. I got it
right.
right. And actually, this is I'm looking forward to this discussion because I met you years ago. You probably don't remember this. We met. So I went to medical school at the University of Maryland in Baltimore, and
Oh.
I participated in Toastmasters, and I was
Oh.
competing at the Baltimore VA. And you were there.
Wow.
This was many years ago,
Yes.
and we were introduced because back then. So you'll share with me now, share with our listeners actually,
Mhm.
if you're still doing any of this. But back then you were um, doing websites and stuff like that. And someone
Yeah.
thought, if in the future I needed help with that, that you were the person for that. So that
Wow.
was a while back. Yes.
Yeah, that was probably what, at least 8 years ago.
It's been a while, you see. And it's actually a good thing because sometimes I will meet people and they'll say I met you years ago and blah blah blah, and I'll think to myself, I hope I was nice to that person.
Yeah,
So
right,
in case you're
right.
wondering, you were really nice.
Okay, good, good,
All right.
good.
So are you still doing the websites? What's your business right now? What do you do?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So yeah, we've evolved definitely. We still do websites. So my company, PDR Web Solutions, we think of us almost like as a full-time marketing department for small businesses. So we go into a small business and really sit down with them, meet with them, kind of get where they are in regards to where their marketing is
Hmm.
and what kind of results that they're getting from their marketing, and then get from them where they're looking to go. How many more sales, leads, new customers that they're looking to, get on a monthly or weekly basis, and then we chart out a plan to get them there, and then implement everything. So that that includes website design, search engine optimization, Google AdWords, social media, all that
That's
good stuff.
great.
So
That's
yeah,
great.
thanks,
A lot of
thanks.
small businesses out there may be looking for this kind of service. And if they are, where would they locate you?
Sure. So we're all over the internet, as we should be, right?
As you should be.
But they can always go to www.pdrwebsolutions.com. It's our website, the company website, or just even Google my name, Jonathan Passley, and you know they can follow the trail. I'm all over Google, so they can go to my website, or even my personal site, jonathanpassley.com too as well, and inquire there.
Wonderful. So as I said, that's what had come to know about you as this kind of business. And then a few months ago, I was on, I think it was YouTube. I generally will check out some of the YouTube videos. And I saw a video that you shared about something that you were going through, a change that had occurred in your life. I believe it had happened in 2016. And I think what I was impressed with was, how you were handling things. As I said to you, I am a physician by training. I take care of patients in a rehabilitation unit and patients who have gone through different things. And I've often seen where you'll have some people who will go through something and they'll just curl up and basically want to die, and sometimes they've gone through
Mhm.
so much that you understand it. And then there's just this other group of people who it's difficult, but they keep going.
Yeah.
You wonder where they get the source of inspiration or strength, but they keep going. And whenever I see that, I often like talking with those people because I feel like it's a process, and it's a process that can be shared to someone else who's struggling. So
Mhm.
let's go back and have you share with us what happened, what changed, what health, uh, what changed in your health last year.
Yeah, sure. So one day I'm in the office, working late in the office. I guess like any entrepreneur, right? Working late in the office, and you have something kind of like in the back of your throat. So I had something back in I clear it up and I spit it out, and there's blood in it.
Hmm.
I'm like, that's kind of weird. So I did it again to see if I could duplicate it, and same thing, blood in it. The hardworking entrepreneur I am, I'm like, okay, well, back to work. All right.
Let's pause for a moment. So
Yeah.
this is lesson number one to our listeners. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Absolutely.
You cough up blood. You don't just go back to work. Okay.
Yes, you should go back
Should
to
not
work.
go back
No.
to work. You should go investigate that because that is not
Yes.
normal. All
No,
right.
not at all.
All
So
right.
I sit back down, I go back to work. But then, my wife in the back of my head, says, you know what, no, Jonathan, you should perhaps go home just in case there's, anything wrong, you're getting sick or whatever it may be. So
Thank goodness for wives, by the way.
yes. Thank goodness for why. So I pack up and I head out of the office. There's one other person there. I say, I'll see you later. And as I'm walking out the office, I feel a little nauseous.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh well, I'm only like 5 minutes from home. I'll just and maybe just go home. But something tells me no, just go to the bathroom real quick just in case. So I go to the bathroom and I feel more nauseous. I call my wife, and as soon as she picks up, I start throwing up nothing but blood.
Oh, wow. Now,
Nothing but
prior
blood.
to this, you had never had anything like this.
Absolutely nothing. I
Wow.
mean, when I say no pains, no, I mean, I would go to the gym every day. I would go to Bikram yoga or hot yoga
Mm,
on the
mhm,
weekends.
mhm,
I ate pretty healthily. I mean, nothing. There were no signs of anything prior to
mhm.
this. Not even in the beginning of the day. I didn't feel any kind of way. I didn't feel tired. Nothing. It just suddenly hit me, and when you're throwing up nothing but blood, you're shocked. At the
Right,
same time, it's like,
right.
whoa, what is this? So long story
Did
short,
it hit you that this could be something really serious, or was it just surreal? Like, I'm healthy, I'm a young man, I'm throwing up blood, it must be nothing. Like, did it really hit you that this has to be something really serious?
all of the above, everything. And there's so many thoughts that are going through your mind, like, am I bleeding to death? Am I dying? No, can't be. I'm healthy. What
Mm-hmm.
is this? It is something I ate. Do I have some kind of, illness that no one's ever heard of? I mean, all 1,000 different thoughts are going through your mind
Mm-hmm.
in just a
Mm-hmm.
couple of seconds. And so I'm throwing up, and I mean, nothing but blood. And afterwards, I throw up. I feel a little bit better, right? And I'm not a hospital guy, but when you throw up pools of blood, I think there's an exception there.
I would
so
agree. I would agree.
yeah. So at the same time, and when I start throwing up blood, my wife, that's when she picks up. So all she hears in the background is me throwing up blood.
Oh.
At the time, we just had we had our firstborn, a boy,
Hmm.
my son. He was 2 months old,
Oh, wow.
so she packs him in the car, and she's worried to death. She comes to the office, and I'm there, and then we go to the hospital, and then long story short, you wait there for however many hours, yeah,
Hmm.
however many hours after me throwing up blood, but you wait there, and the doctor, they go see, I go to see them, and doctor says, oh well, most likely it's an ulcer. It's common amongst business owners. Stress and all that. What we'll do is we'll do an endoscopy. Go in there and just patch things up. You should be fine. No need to worry. I said okay.
And
So
how did you
so
feel with that explanation? You felt like, okay, this is, or were you still thinking there's something more?
I felt okay with that. I was like, no, that's okay. That they
Okay.
they're doctors and they know what
Hmm.
they're talking about. Yeah, that's probably an ulcer because I couldn't pinpoint anything else because it's not like I was sick before or had issues with nothing. So this just
Right.
kind of came out of anywhere. The way they explained it, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So they I stayed overnight. Obviously, in the morning they did the endoscopy. They put you to sleep. And I
Hmm.
was a little nervous about that because again, I'm a pretty healthy guy, so I'm not. I've never even had any surgeries before, so they put me to sleep, and next thing I know is I wake up. I'm out of it. It almost seems like a dream,
Hmm.
and I see my wife there, and my 2-month-old son, and my wife looks very concerned,
Hmm.
worried, and I see like doctors rushing around. And at that time, I felt that something wasn't right. Something's not right.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, I prayed to God and said, God, please don't take me away from my wife and my 2-month-old son.
Yeah.
And and that's all I can remember. Then I guess I went back to sleep, and then I woke up again, and so I felt a little different, but I'm all about mindset,
Mm-hmm.
and because I knew that something wasn't right, I told my wife, and I told my wife to tell the doctors, everyone, don't tell me what happened. Give me some time. Just give me
Really?
some time.
Huh.
Yeah, I said, don't let me know what happened. So
Okay.
in my mind, it was an endoscopy, whatever it was. They took care of it. I'm fine, and that's that. All right. So actually, for 2 days,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the hospital afterwards. Didn't know.
Didn't know,
Didn't know what
and you
happened.
were okay with that. Wow. I am
I
the
was
very
perfectly
opposite.
fine.
I'm the very opposite. Like, I want to know so I know exactly what I need to do. Maybe it's my need to control things. I don't know. But wow.
Maybe. Yeah, 2 days, I'm fine. And it's funny because now that I look back, because everyone else knew, like my family,
Mm,
friends knew, doctors
mhm,
knew. So when
mhm.
they come in, they looked concerned and worried and sad. And in my mind, I'm
But
like,
you
why are
were
they so
in that
sad?
ignorance bliss.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, why are they so sad? Come on, guys. It's
Oh
just a little
boy.
hospital visit,
It's good that
So
we can laugh about it right now. you know.
yes.
All right.
Good
So
glad about
at
it
what
now, but
point did we come out of that ignorance bliss? Like, what happened?
so here's the funny thing. The person that did the surgery, um, the doctor that did the surgery, and I'll get more into what the surgery was about,
Hmm.
was one of my clients. And
Oh
he's
wow.
actually one, yeah, and he's actually one of the top surgeons in the US. So it's just funny how it all works together. And when my name came across his desk, he said
Hmm.
basically him. It's him and his partner, and his partner did the surgery.
Hmm.
But they tag team as far as their patients go, and so when his paperwork or my paperwork came across his desk, he's like, "No way, Jonathan's super healthy, goes to the
Right.
gym. There's no way." It's like he literally had to come upstairs and like verify it was actually me, and so he was the one that told me. He said, "Hey, Jonathan, you know what? Here's what happened. You had a tumor on your stomach that burst, and you're basically bleeding to death. And we found other tumors not only on your stomach but also on your liver. So the surgeon went in and removed all those tumors, and now we're testing it to see if it's cancerous. And when you hear
Of
cancer,
course. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you're like you're devastated. Just, what?
Yeah.
It hit me a little bit, but it didn't hit me fully until the follow-up visit. So yeah, I had to follow up after I got to the hospital. I had to follow
Hmm.
up with an oncologist, doctor who specializes in basically cancer, right? And
Hmm.
um, this doctor, he didn't have the best bedside manners.
Which is
Maybe
ironic, isn't
somewhat
it? Isn't it?
very,
Considering that he's an oncologist and they're the ones sort of giving this kind of news, right? So you would think this is a person
yeah.
who would be trained the best in good bedside manners. Wow.
You would think so, but I
Yeah.
think it's because maybe they do it so often. It's just kind of
Yeah.
okay.
That's
This is what it is.
never an excuse in my book. Yeah.
I agree, but the way he explained it to me, he said, "Hey, Jonathan, look, I've got a conference in 15 minutes, so I'm just going to tell it to you straight.
Oh boy.
Look, you've got cancer, and when we took the tumors out, they were cancerous. Because it spread to your liver and it wasn't in one area. You got stage 4 cancer.
Oh my
So
gosh.
here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put you on this medicine, this chemo medicine, and yeah, there's side effects and things like that. But if you don't take it, well, bad things are gonna happen to you, Jonathan. And and so
Jonathan, I'm actually hoping that he watches this episode
I
just
I
so
hope so
that
too.
he learns, because I'm sure you're not the only patient who's had this experience.
No, probably not. No.
Yeah.
And so then after that, he basically left and he neglected to really answer any of my wife's questions. And my wife, she has like a health management degree. So she kind of knows like some of the lingo and what doctors write on paperwork. And the
Can you
doctor,
imagine a patient, though, who does not have that kind of advocate or someone like that in their, in their
e-
corner? Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And on the paperwork they put I forget the exact terminology, but I want to say it was basically almost to the fact of give a medicine just to make
Like
him
palliative.
palliative type of, and we took that to
Oh,
mean basically
wow.
like just keep him without pain until he dies
Right.
basically. and
Right.
and my wife broke this down to me, so more devastation. And then
Yeah.
the doctor's oncologist nurse, she comes in and she now explains this medicine to me and all these side effects. She said, "Oh, this is might happen, and this, you might get nauseous all the time. You
Mhm.
got to stay out the sun because you can get skin burn, and you might die from it." And I mean, she just goes through all the, you have a son. Oh, you're going to be radioactive, so you don't want to touch him. And she just went. I mean, she scared the living daylights out of me just from
Right.
explaining the medicine to me. So not only
And
God.
it is important that she shares the different side effects and all the precautions you need to take, but there's certainly a way to do it where it's a kinder, gentler way without you feeling so, afraid, you know.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
terrified, absolutely
Wow.
terrified. So walking out of that, I'm a positive person, right?
Mhm.
Pretty strong-willed, but walking out of that doctor's office, you know, I basically felt like life was over. You know,
Wow.
the way that they explained things, it
Mhm.
was devastating. Now here I am at the time of 29.
Mhm.
I'm weeks away from my 30th birthday.
Mhm.
I just had my son 2 months ago.
Mhm.
You know, married. I've got all these, things seem to be going well, and then boom, you,
Yeah.
you get slapped with cancer. And you hear stories, you hear people, getting diagnosed with cancer, and but I think most people never realize that they'll get it themselves. That's
Right.
possible, to get that
Right.
close to home.
And
Especially
especially
so young.
when you're young and healthy.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not certainly not something most people are thinking about. Yeah.
No, not at
Yeah.
all.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. So since the diagnosis, it was April of 2016. So
Mhm.
a little bit over a year,
Mhm.
and it's been quite a journey. And I wouldn't take back the journey for anything.
Wow.
Yeah, and you hear cancer, someone getting diagnosed with cancer. Oh, it's horrible, but I actually am thankful for it, just because of it changed me who I am as a person.
Mhm.
It allowed me to really understand what is important in life. Um, for me, faith is very important,
Mhm.
and faith in God, Jesus,
That's
and
that's something I was actually going to ask you, because I've often found that people who do well with these devastating diagnoses or conditions, they tend to have some kind of strong faith. And it doesn't say you have to be religious, but
yeah,
they tend to believe in something bigger than themselves. And that's part of the thing that helped them through, as well as good support system. We've seen that to be helpful as well.
yeah, and it's I honestly don't. I can't see how you would get through something like this without faith. and a support system,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's possible because, yeah, cancer has its physical aspects to it, but me personally, I think it's more of a mental battle than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm strongly convinced that anybody that's been diagnosed with cancer would agree with me. The mental battle is the worst.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of challenges that you really have to overcome. And one of them, I think, is probably the most self-explanatory is death. I mean, I've spoken to, and even in my own experience, from time to time, you think like, is today the last day? You know, am I going to die tonight? Am I not going to wake up tomorrow? So you need a support system. For me, faith was very, very important. And for me during this, the last, 12, 14 months, it's definitely deepened my faith and strengthened my relationship, with God. And I've seen him show up many, many, many times throughout the process. And it was very important for me for him to show up and give me different signs because they're hard times. They're hard times. You see
Mm-hmm.
different symptoms. You go through different physical changes. For me,
Mm-hmm.
they had to cut out 75% of my stomach.
Oh, wow.
So I would eat, a chicken wing, and I would be stuffed like, oh, I'm about to throw up stuffed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I lost like 40, 50 pounds
Mm.
of weight, and I wasn't really a big guy to begin with.
Right. I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked pretty skinny.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed it. I checked the scale every day, and
Mm-hmm.
if anything, it would go down. So the weight loss, and some people
Mm-hmm.
have the hair loss, if it's depending on what type of chemo they're going through, or
Are
whatever
you
type of
still
treatment.
going through treatment? I mean, is this an ongoing treatment for you, or at this point, or are you just being monitored?
Sure. So I'll give you a quick run through. So the first 12 months after I was diagnosed, I decided to go the holistic route.
Mm.
And one of the reasons why is because the oncologist and the nurse um, scared the living daylights out of me from
Mm.
with the medicine, and I was like, no way, we're holistic route, we're going that
Mhm.
route. And um, so I did a number of things. I did Gerson's therapy. Some people may have heard of. I've done
Yeah.
a ketogenic diet, a paleo diet. I've done the supplements with black seed oil and high doses of turmeric and
I
eating.
should bring you back on the show just to go through some of that stuff because
Yeah,
this is a real thing where we do see patients who've been diagnosed and they decide to go that route.
mhm,
Um, I have my thoughts on that, even though I'm traditionally trained as a physician. Yeah, I have uh, no issues with people incorporating some of those things in their treatment, but I do believe that many times um, when that's all they do, they put themselves at risk. That's my take on that. So I've seen people go that route and then they come back, or I've seen people do both, which
yeah,
I actually think optimally that's the way, incorporating both things. But so you did that for the first 12 months, you said?
yeah. First 12 months, and I'd have to agree with your
Mm-hmm.
your view. Now, for some people, it may work. You
Mm-hmm.
may go the holistic route, and it
Mm-hmm.
cures whatever you're going through. But it does put you at risk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the holistic route just solely doesn't, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work for everyone, and not for every, and let's say specifically for cancer, doesn't work for every type of cancer because they're
Right.
all different types of cancers. That's something you really have to consider. So for me, during the 12 months, things still grew
Mm-hmm.
slowly,
Mm-hmm.
but they were still growing.
Right.
So right at that 12-month mark, they grew to the point where I had to go back to the hospital, and because I had some stomach pains,
Mm-hmm.
and tumor was growing on the tumor was growing on my liver. That's when it's
Okay.
included to the liver.
Okay.
So at this point, I felt that it was definitely time for your traditional medicine and time for the chemo pill. They put me on Gleevec, and they didn't really have to convince me. I was like, let's order it. Let's let's just start taking it. Because at that time, at 12 months again, I went through a lot of different
You'd
holistic
given things a
methods.
chance, right?
I gave them
Right.
the chance, and
Hmm.
so I said, okay, well, let's just go with the Gleevec, and that was April of. So it was literally exactly 12 months
Mm.
from me being in the hospital the first time, and the
Hmm.
second time exactly 12 months later I was back in the hospital. So
I'm
April.
curious about this though. So for
Mhm.
that 12 months when you weren't having traditional treatment, did the oncologist ever reach out to you and say, hey, you were here a year ago. We're trying to see, making sure you didn't get lost, in the cracks, what's going on?
No, no,
Oh,
we didn't.
wow.
It
Oh, wow.
so we ended up going to another oncologist, and to be honest, they weren't any better
Yeah.
either, because we went to them, and at the time said, hey, we're really looking to go the holistic route, and with guidance from you guys, but with the CT scans and the
Hmm.
monitor and so we're doing.
Hmm.
And when we met with that doctor the first time, once he heard that we were deciding to go the holistic route, we literally never saw him again.
Oh.
And he pushed on, basically, I think you guys in the industry terms, a resident,
Hmm.
someone who was still, I guess, not going through medical
Well,
school, but
going through their
now
training, their
their
resident
training.
training. Uh-huh.
And I think she just finished that and was, and she was just finishing that when we first saw the doctor, and then the
Hmm.
second time we saw, um, it was supposed to be him. It was really
Hmm.
just her,
Hmm.
and then I think she just switched to being a doctor, but she was still being unmonitored by, like the head doctor. But we never saw that doctor again.
Oh.
Me personally, I think he didn't want to waste time on us
Hmm. Hmm.
anymore. And he was
Which
just.
you think that would have been the opportunity to, you know, speak with you and hear what you have to say and guide you,
Yeah.
once you're going through that. I mean, that would be a great opportunity to do that. Wow.
Yeah, it would have been, but yeah, no, he just, I never saw him again, and even to the date of where we're shooting this now, the last time I went to go see them, let's see, April, so I would say February we last saw them, and I mean now we're looking at July and nothing. They haven't called, they
Wow.
haven't nothing.
Wow.
So so yeah, they unfortunately, I think from my experience, can't speak from everyone. Once I think doctors and colleges hear that you're going holistic route, they're like, whatever,
Yeah.
and they kind of move on. They really don't want to have anything to do with you.
It's
Um,
unfortunate. I've actually heard this before, so it's not this, thing that rarely happens, and it's very unfortunate and something I think needs to be brought to the medical world's attention that this
yeah,
is not okay. This is not okay. Huh.
yeah,
So where are you then today?
yeah. So today, I'm on the Gleevec. I've been on it since, you can say the 1st of May of
Mhm.
this year, 2017,
Mhm.
and my body's been responding to it very well. Blood work's been doing well, and that's another thing with the oncologist that, the second one we saw that
Mhm.
I was just telling you about,
Mhm.
who he just kind of disappeared after he found out he went to go holistic route. They never did any blood work.
Wow.
They never did any blood work. The most they would do is CT scans, but they never did any blood work. But now again, we're with another oncologist,
Okay.
that's actually in the same department of, my client that actually did
Mhm.
the surgery, and he's great. They're great. They're really really good.
So
But
I'm glad you've actually found someone that will
yeah,
work with you, and because you're dealing with a cancer diagnosis, you need that in your corner. You don't want someone who, doesn't care,
Yeah, definitely.
basically. Yeah.
Exactly.
Um, so we have a limited time to finish up this interview, but I mean, this is amazing what you've been through, and you're still very strong and positive and all of that. And like I
Yeah.
said, I need to get you back on to sort of talk about some of those treatments you did and the experiences you had. But
Mhm.
what, for someone who's going through this right now, and struggling and having a hard time, what would you share? What one tip would you share with them to help them develop the strength or whatever it is to get through this? Or maybe it's not cancer, but for them, their cancer. What would you share?
Sure. And I can only speak through my experience, and this might not, you know, everyone may not receive this, but for me, um, God has you here for a reason and a purpose. Um, and sometimes, you know, negative things or unfortunate things happen in life in order to get your attention, in order for you to learn to grow from it. It can be painful when it happens while you're going through it, but there's a process. And if you think about it, more times than others, you learn from failures or you learn from challenges. You don't learn from really winning
Right.
because you won.
Mhm.
um, so these things happen for a reason. It's hard to digest it when it happens, but there's a lesson in it. You're going to come out of it a stronger person. You know, and sometimes you need that lesson, you need those skills, whatever it may be, in order to get to the next level for the plan that God has for you in your life. But everyone's got a plan. You're here on Earth for a reason, and you have to realize that um, you do have a plan, and um, you know, uh, how can I put this? That you can God's going to use you. Um, okay, God wants to use. I'm trying to put it so everybody understands, but God wants to use
Put it
you
the way you want to put it. Don't
for
worry.
the way I want to put it. Okay, okay,
People
all
will
right,
get what they need to get.
okay, all right. So everybody, God's got a plan for you, right? Um, and I hate to say this, but when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. The thing is, I think when people get scared of things like when they get diagnosed with cancer, whatever bad news it is because we think we have control of our lives,
Hmm.
but we really don't. We really don't. These things happen, and it's just a reminder that you don't have control. Anything could happen to you at any time. It might not be cancer. You might get hit by a car. You might whatever, and a terrorist attack may happen, whatever it may be. So you have to think, and the reason why I say this is that God has kept you through all the things that could have happened throughout your life. Now you just have to believe and understand that he's going to get you through this too as well, and have faith that he is going to get you through it, and that he has a plan for you, and that this is just a part of the plan for you to grow in order for him to use you for whatever the grand scheme is in life, that he has for you. um, and everybody's journey is different. Some
Yeah.
people will get cancer, some people won't get cancer. Some people might have death in their family, some people won't. Whatever it is, it's all a part of the plan. It's just a part of you. It's just a part of life for you to grow, so
Yeah.
that you become a better person. And that's what I held on to. There are many other situations in my life where God could have snatched me, and that could have been my last day. But I reminded myself that no, He's kept me here despite the car accidents, despite this whatever it might have been. Um, so He's going to get me through this too as well. This is just a lesson, and I look back at what I've learned over the past 12 months, who I've become, how I've changed, and I said, okay, yeah, this had to be a part of the plan because you know I wouldn't be who I am now if this didn't happen 12 months ago. So it's just a step to, um, for me to take the next step in the plan He's got for me. So that's what I've held on to, and that's what I would encourage others to
And there
believe
was
in if they want to.
a lot in that many people can get something from. It's often said that, you know, everyone will die, right? We often don't think about it, but that's the
Yeah.
truth. We all will. But the question is, how many of us will really have lived, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes these types of things kind of get us to start living because we're in touch with our mortality. You know, it's that awareness that, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, that happens sometimes. I am glad you're doing better. I'm glad you found a better team for you.
Yes.
As I said, it's really such a shame that some of my colleagues operate this way, but I've definitely heard patients say this before. Um, and I think for oncologists, I really would love for them to watch this because you know, sometimes you're not aware of what you're doing, and this is a group of people who really need to be sharing news in a proper way and having good bedside manners because you're dealing with this type of diagnosis on a daily basis. Jonathan, please share again with our audience where they can reach you to partake of some of your services for the
Yeah.
entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah, sure. So www.pdrwebsolutions.com. That's my company's site. Or you can go to my own personal site, Jonathan Passley, JonathanPassley.com. Or if you're on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, you can just my handle, my username is Jonathan Passley. Just put that in. You can pull me right up. And I'm also on YouTube too as well. So again, Jonathan Passley, I'll pop right on up. So you have several ways to connect with me.
Awesome. And I will make sure that information is also on my website, which is drdianethompson.com. That's DRDIANETHOMPSON.com. Thank you so much, Jonathan. You have to come back though to talk
Okay,
about,
definitely.
yeah, because I definitely want to talk about the alternative treatments that you tried and see what your experience was like. All right.
Okay, yeah, that'd
All
be great.
right.
All right.
Wonderful talking to you. Take good care.
Thanks, you too.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
Bye bye.
Have a bye.